Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday, and welcome to the Facebook and YouTube, because, again, we're having difficulty, and we apologize to the people who try to watch us on the Channel 95, I guess.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, and Wednesday always has a problem with the broadcast for some reason.
Wednesday is definitely hump day.
Yeah, and it's getting to be very interesting when we see it, and we've had a few interesting scenarios that happened this week, and that's Liberace. He's texting. He needs DCM to pick up his broken piano.
Again?
Again.
Yeah, DCM was called to pick up a piano that our waste hauling company couldn't pick up. And
right.
So I guess, again, the taxpayers, who's going to pay? Are we going to pay? Are we going to pay for the time of the people who went to pick up the piano? Are we going to pay for disposal of the piano? Who's paying what? Again, a great company that took an all-encompassing contract and is basically not placarding their trucks, not abiding by DOT regulations, commingling trash, all kinds of things. And I spoke to someone who said they had pictures. I said, please give us the pictures, and when we get them, we will post them on the air.
Oh yeah, and this is the problem. I coined the term. Well, I didn't coin it. One of the consultants on this matter before the contract was signed coined this the Sleazy Disposal contract, and I'm seeing it every day. I was driving down Oak Grove Avenue today. And what really makes this so sleazy? A 6610 request was presented to the city requesting copies of the reports of all the violations issued for non-compliance with pay-as-you-throw. And of course, they have 10 days to reply, and guess what they didn't do? They didn't reply. Then when they replied, like they did the last time we requested under 6610, for the salaries, they said, we need a $100 fee. Okay, number one, the law says that it is to be compiled by the person who gets paid the least. That's the first thing.
Well, it's definitely not Ponciano.
That's right. So it's got to be compiled by the person who gets paid the least. You cannot pay to organize the records that you're presenting, so you got to take that out. So I turned around and said, okay, and I cited the fact that the city really never seems to issue a fee for any 6610 request, but now all of a sudden they're doing it. Why? Because the mayor went out and touted that we have a 90% compliance, and Sleazy Disposal is reporting daily to the city the non-compliance, the people who aren't using purple bags. When I drive down Warren Street, or when I drive down 2nd Street, or when I drive down Bedford Street, I don't see a lot of purple. I see a lot of black and green and white and orange. I see every other color on bags except for purple. So I want to know where all those citations are. And I requested who's paid them, how many were dismissed by the court, how many are still uncollected. And they said, we don't have that information. Well, I remember that Kathy Ann Vivera said that the city clerk is responsible for collecting that information, and it all sits in an unorganized file. Imagine that. And then she came back and said the same thing. Well, when I asked Allison Bouchard, the city clerk, for those records, she says, we don't have those records. So, Kathy Ann, I know you're watching. Who's lying? Does the city clerk have these records, or does she not have these records? She's responsible for collecting the fine. So if she's responsible for collecting the fine, how is she supposed to base it on anything if she doesn't have the records? This is where we get into this lies, lies, and more lies. Now, if Joe Macy presents me with the bill, the itemized bill, as is required, on who's doing the work, how much work is being done, why it's being done that way, and then they want me to go into the office to get those records. I don't have to go into the office. I'm not going to sit down so you can explain it to me. I don't want to hear your bull. I want to read the records. I want to see them. I'll go in the office, sit down and read them, but I don't want you around telling me what to do. Okay? But let's make it clear. The people have a right to know this. And now you want to charge people for it? Why? So the mayor can make up his $2.some-odd million in non-collectible pay-as-you-throw fines? This is getting to be a little ridiculous because the more transparency we demand, the darker the room
Oh,
gets.
yes, we get. That's right.
The darker the room gets. So guess what? Sleazy Disposal, we're watching you. And guess what, Mr. Mayor? Do yourself a favor.
Well, I was just doing some
Stop.
fast computations because it's, you're discussing this issue, and it's funny because after the retirement board meeting, I stopped in and gave some material to someone who requested it. And it was funny because they were discussing how much has been actually collected. And someone who supposedly has pretty accurate information said that we're not even close to being on target. We're already 2/3 through the year. This is almost at the 8th month. So we should have collected 66%. Actually, 66 and 2/3. We can go around a six.
Yeah, but let's flip that. Let's flip that. Remember, the year began July 1st, so we're only 2 months in.
Well, their contract. But we're not collecting anywhere near what we should.
Right.
Because we're looking at cumulatively what they collected. And the thing is, look, they're not collecting it. The bottom line is, look, we heard the 90% mantra before in front of the council. And then when they wanted to get this company, and they went, oh, we're only getting 60%. Well, what happened to the 90% that our community leaders, our financial team, our crack financial team.
The one that has a full-time job in Swansea now, too.
Oh, not only that, at the retirement board meeting today, she also said she's been hired by Diamond.
Right.
So now she's got 3 jobs.
Right.
In addition, 3 jobs as an auditor. Plus, she's being hired by the city to do additional duties because today she made the statement she's putting on an auditor's hat. So I don't know how many hats she's got, and I don't know how you can work 3 jobs because I guess Channel 10's got to investigate her very shortly because there are a lot of these people they basically become, the ubiquitous auditors and ubiquitous inspectors because they get jobs in every community within a 15-mile radius. And, you can't do your job if you can't devote the time. So,
well, we've used the term many times over, and it's very derogatory in some respects, but we call them political whores because there's nothing that they won't do to get another political appointment. And it's obvious that Ms. Sahadi is selling her soul to the devil because, after all, she doesn't have to work. I think we even have sworn testimony somewhere which says that they don't do audits. They only do reconciliations. Well,
Yeah.
You know what a reconciliation is? I have 2 apples, you have 3. That means 5 apples. There's your reconciliation.
yeah, it's making numbers fit. But I'll be kinder. You may have to do that to get the job, but to try to get the job, they're political opportunists.
Yes, they are.
They get in with one administration, and then they begin to make a network of contacts in other surrounding communities, and they're smaller. So they say, hey, why don't we hire this? And she's doing Fall River. Fall River is the biggest city in the area. Well, I'm sure she can handle our budget. It's like a 10th of the size or a 15th of the size.
Right.
And this is what happens. And this is what happens with, look at the politicians. They just slide from one thing to another. They never slide backwards, though. They always slide upward. They're always making more money. It's like Kathy Ann. Rumor is that she's going to go to the housing authority for more money.
Right.
She went from city council for $15,000 or $16,000 a year to $120,000. That was a nice bump. Now she's sliding over. We look at Dave Sullivan from state rep over to $165,000. We look at we look at Joan Menard from $80,000 to $120,000. They always
Eddie Lambert.
Eddie Lambert to $300,000
Right.
or near $300,000. So they always manage. To be upwardly mobile, and all because of their political
Right.
ties, and and this is the reason why they never ever have any consideration for money, because it's not their money. They don't care how much money they spend, as long as they're patting the right butt. because all I have to do is remind everybody a few months ago when Kathy Ann went in front of the the city council, and said that they were going to go to court, or they were going to appeal the differences that they had with the school department on spending and money. And she said to the council on camera, well, we're probably not going to win, and if I was betting on it, I wouldn't bet on it. But who gives a shit? It's only the taxpayers' money, so we're going to do it anyway. I mean, what person in their right mind says, I got virtually no chance of winning this, but I'm going to spend the money? Well, I'll tell you who. People who's not spending their own money. Politicians. Because the only time I'm going to spend money on something that the odds are I'm not going to win is if a doctor tells me you got a 10% chance of living if you have this surgery. I'm going to go, well, 10% is better than zero. I got a 90% chance of dying, but I'm going to die anyway. But I'll spend the money to take a shot that I'm in that and hope I'm in that 10%. But besides that scenario, who out there that's a taxpayer goes to a lawyer, and the lawyer says, look, you don't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this, but it's going to cost you, $15,000, $20,000 in legal fees, but, you might as well just give me the money now, and, we won't even bother going to court, and I'll only charge you $14,000, because then I won't have to do any work. Who does that? Who does that except people who are spending other people's money? They don't care. And people don't get that. It's like, okay, anything that's got to do with helping people, they don't care. I filed a bill about 3 years ago to help retired people on fixed incomes to be helped with their pharmaceutical drugs. That's still meandering around the State House. I testified. I went up there last year to testify. We'll probably never get it. If we get it, it'll be 7 or 8 years down the road. But talk about giving money for opioids, they'll do it in 35 seconds. The money's out there. So, do they care? Look at the pharmaceuticals. Last night on NBC News, that the EpiPens have gone up 400%. And then they gave the companies rationale. Oh, they just great. Oh, it's because of, we offer this and the differences in the way...
We have a new spring.
Yeah, but then NBC News told you the real thing.
That's right.
They said, the EpiPen's gone up 400%, and some people can't afford to get it for their children who may die, and they're worried about it. Yet, all the high-paid administrators of this pharmaceutical company got you ready for this? Hold on. 600% pay raise.
The CEO of the company went from $2.4 or $2.9 million a year to $19 million a year.
Well, we're not gouging the public.
No.
And what is our Congress doing? Zip. You know why? They're all bought and paid for, regardless of party. They're all bought and paid for. It is an absolute outrage that the states and the federal government allow Americans to pay as much as 3 times as much for their drugs made in America than they do in any other country on the planet Earth. And you know why? Because they all go on the trips and the junkets.
That's right.
And when they get bounced out of Congress, they get consulting jobs with the pharmaceutical companies for $1 million.
And the worst part about all of that is that it's the people who get screwed all the time. And it really bothers me to the point when I see a drug like epinephrine, and I hear from doctors, and they actually got these comments on NBC and a few other NBC affiliates that say, we don't want to just prescribe the epinephrine. That would be the cheapest way to go. Do you know how much a vial of epinephrine costs? It's pennies. It's pennies, okay? And all they have to do is take a syringe, draw back 3 lines on a syringe. You heroin addicts know what I'm talking about. and inject it. End of story. Oh, it's too much. My child will get hurt. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm a diabetic. I take insulin. Guess what? I got to stick a needle in me. When you need to live, you learn. End of story.
Yeah, and I can see kind of a little bit of their point, because most of these people, if it's their child, they're going to be in total hysterical mode.
Right.
They may not be able to do that. But I mean, come on, you're going to tell me you're making you're going to pay. Well, it's not even 400%. It's like 4,000% more than the epinephrine is actually in the vial. It's only because you can just stick it in you. You know,
Right.
It's like a no-brainer, because they got a spring-loaded mechanism or whatever the hell they got that allows you to be, no matter how panicky you are, you just grab it and stab yourself with it. We're going to pay 400% more for a drug that costs nothing because of the delivery mechanism. You know, that's horse shit. And the thing is, how much does the epinephrine cost? How much does the EpiPen cost in these other countries? I'll bet you not even close.
No.
The fact is, Canadian drugs, Australian drugs, English drugs, Mexican drugs, same drug. You can pay pennies. And this is an outrage. And this is why when people tell me, oh, they're outraged with the politicians. Well, this is a real outrage. They're killing people. They're killing people. I have to deal every month with people calling me who are on fixed incomes, that are living on pensions. They're 85 and 90 years old,
Yep.
and they're living on pensions that they get a $360 increase a year if they're lucky. And now they're getting pharmaceuticals that used to cost them $5, and they're paying $350 or $500, and they're telling me, how can I afford this? This is like half my pension check.
Right.
And it's like, and your congressman allowed this to happen? Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm waiting to meet a congressman coming out looking for their vote, shaking hands, because the first thing I'm going to ask them is, what are you going to do about the epidemic of death that you're creating by your inaction with the pharmaceutical company? Forget about the opiate epidemic. That's by choice, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But you don't choose to be elderly and sick, and you don't choose to have crap for a pension. That's just the way it is. And they have no consideration for these people. That's why money runs the country. The pharmaceutical companies run the damn country. And that's the way it is. They give millions of dollars to these bums in Washington and to these bums in Boston, and nothing's ever done to close the loopholes.
Well, Chip, I think we beat that dead horse a little bit, but Mayan says they'll give you coupons to get money off of epinephrine. So, South Coast Rail meetings coming up. Here we go again.
Goody.
We're going to tout the South Coast Rail.
Is that before or after they changed the tracks?
Yeah, I know. Wednesday, September 7th at New Bedford Vocational High School on Ashley Boulevard. Monday, September 10th, Bristol Community College at 2 Galleria Mall Drive in Taunton. That's in the Silver City Galleria. Wednesday, September 14th at Bristol Community College, right here in G Building in the Commonwealth Center, providing the parking lots are open. Thursday, September 15th, middle school at 98 Columbus Avenue in Easton. September 19th at the Canton High School on Washington Street. September 22nd at Middleborough High School on East Grove Street. If you can't make it, you can go see the presentation, the propaganda story, at mass.state.mass.us/South Coast Rail. You can also send public comments to South Coast Rail at dot.state.ma.us.
Well, just this schedule alone doesn't make me full of encouragement about this whole process. I'm looking at this, and New Bedford and Fall River, the two largest cities, have one presentation, but you're looking at, we should get more. Taunton's got Galleria Mall. Then you got Easton and what they, we should have more than one presentation in the largest cities in the area to allow people a better opportunity. And like you said, you're going to go online and watch this. How many people will go online to watch this? Number one, they'll probably get bored to death and fall face first on their computer and destroy it. But I think we should have more. But then again, maybe we shouldn't, because this is a pipe dream.
Well, Matt Malone, who is our school superintendent, according to some people, he's already getting down to business. I I still don't agree with the appointment of Mr. Malone. This is one of the biggest political kiss asses on the face of the earth. He has a history of it. And once he's there, though, I'll give him an opportunity to screw up, and I'm sure he's already started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's touting that he's working 12-hour work days in July, and because he has, he had to hire principals. Guess what? That's your job. You got to hire principals. What do you want to do? Plus, you got to hire teachers because there's such a massive, exodus of Fall River school teachers.
Let my people go.
Yeah, exactly. He says that, and I'm going to quote him, "The sky's not falling. My goal is to have every position staffed." With what money? But the number one issue right now in the school district is teacher retention. They don't stay because you don't pay. Guess what?
They pay administrators pretty well.
That's right, but you pay all those people who have do-nothing jobs a lot of money. Why don't you get rid of a few administrators, Mr. Malone, and put those into teacher positions? Get rid of the top heaviness of the school department, which is the political dumping ground for Fall River now, that the Housing Authority can't be such.
I think this headline, which is here, new Fall River Superintendent Matt Malone already getting down to business, should be new Fall River Superintendent Matt Malone already getting down to business as usual. Because the first quote in the first paragraph, to me, it disturbs me. As superintendent here is not to bring something new, but to deepen and sustain what's gotten us to a level of success. If he thinks that this school system is successful and all he has to do is sustain it, not improve it, I'm telling you, buddy, you're not getting off on the wrong foot. You're not getting off at all.
Exactly.
Because that is not, those are not, you're used to hearing, even if it's absolute bullshit, you're used to hearing somebody with lofty goals. Let's set our standard high. And if we get halfway there, we've still achieved something. But to say, deepen and sustain what's gotten us to a level of success? What? You mean with the doctored figures that we go over about, we don't have a level 4 school. No, we moved all those people to another school and brought that school up, and we've got a sliding scale.
Right.
And we all know what the academic achievement level is. We know that the numbers are fudged. This city does not have, it's got a too high a teacher to student ratio, plenty of administrators. That's why people are leaving. And, I'm not overly impressed. And as you, CJ, he was not my first choice for superintendent when I looked at the candidates. But for him to get off on the foot and say, all I want to do is sustain, that means all I want to do is do the same old, and maintain a status quo.
And here's how we prove again that he is a political ass, a political whore, a political hack. Quote, "I think this school committee is focused on the right stuff. I think they're committed to leading with honor and improving the trust that the public bestows on us." You think so? And he says, because I'm an outsider, I can say this. This is an amazing city. Rose-colored glasses, baby.
Oh yeah, you're coming from Boston down here, and you're saying this is an amazing city. It certainly is amazing, but not in the good context of amazing. It's amazing in some other contexts. So I mean, look, we know what his record is. You know where he worked before. You did the research, CJ. You know that he's always been a political insider,
right,
and a butt kisser, and he's the kind of superintendent they love. Because let's face it, if you're going to be a department head in this city, you have to do what you're told, otherwise you lose your contract. That's the reason that I fought so hard to keep the chief's job in the fire department, civil service, and I did. And then when they lost it, they brought it back, which the reason, it was very simple. There is a termination process for terminating a civil service chief, but you have to actually have good reason to. The reason they like contract personnel is they know that if they don't do what they're told, they're just not going to renew their contract, and they're out of here. Is that in the best interest, especially of public safety? But as far as I'm concerned, in any department, do you think Kenny Pacheco, if he was a civil service department head, would have fallen on his sword as many. I mean, he's got more holes in him than, than
He's a strainer.
yeah. He's like a sieve. He's got so many holes in him from falling on his sword. Do you think he would have done that? I remember in the old days, and I'm going back, Frank Manning used to go in front of the city, and that's the reason they got rid of civil service department heads, because the superintendent of schools, the DPW at the time, they used to go up and call it like it was. He'd go up in front of the city council and say, look, I'm out of money. You want me to pick up the snow? You want me to do this? You didn't give me enough money. I put in a budget, you didn't approve it. I'm going to have to take the trucks off the road. And he just called it like it is. He didn't go in there and say, oh, well, I know the city, let's see if we'll have to delay this. Let me cut some personnel, let me cut back on this, and we'll see if we can. No, you didn't prioritize and put the money where it should have been, and they called you on it. Why did they call you on it? Because you couldn't get rid of them for doing their job if they were civil service. But when they're contract chiefs, you can get rid of them at your discretion.
Well, that's always the problem. Again, political hackery. But we're moving on a little bit. The Boston Globe had written an article entitled "Charter School Advocates Launch $18 million Effort." I had the pleasure to meet with Rebecca Cusack and members of the FREA yesterday, and they gave me an amazing report, which I have been reviewing, because, as you know, Chip, we are going to be offering the People's Debate in October. Both sides of this question are going to come forward. And I've started looking into the money. $18 million from New York investors, people who are tied to Common Core, people who are tied to the testing system. This goes to the $150 million that the state has spent on recreating the MCAS exam. This is why I am a firm supporter of parents boycotting the MCAS exam until the 10th grade. In the 10th grade, your child is required to take the MCAS and pass it in order to graduate. Don't give them the numbers, because the numbers are always shifted. And what do we always say? The best results you get: lies, damn lies, and statistics. So when we start looking at this, and we're being very neutral on this question 2 issue, by the way, people. You have to look at both sides of this. So they want you to vote yes. They're spending $18 million for you to do it. And a lot of people in communities across the Commonwealth feel that they need to vote yes. So keep following this, and we will give you the exact dates and times of the People's Debate on question 2.
I'm looking forward to this. This is a very, both sides have some
very valid points.
They have some very valid points, but they have some questions to be answered about their particular entity, about private entities and what happens to money, and about too much administration in the public sector. So I'm looking forward to the debate. But remember one thing: EpiPens. Stay angry.
Stay angry. Have a great day. We'll see you Friday.